Hello, welcome to the Afrocentric Woman. Today we're going to be chatting about Sonnetter. Uh, I want to give you all a quick understanding of what's happening so that we can get out of confusion. There's a lot of confusion going around as to who this person is, what are their motivations, why are they here, what have they done, what do they aim to do. Now, there's a lot of chitter chatter going around, conversations that have been springboarded from the recent charges against Michael Novak, also known as Brother Polite. And Sonetta is intricately linked with Michael Novak, also known as Brother Polite, has been for the past over 10 years. So I think a lot of people are new to conscious community, so they don't probably know all the background. You know, some people are being introduced to the conscious community through other commentary on general Black population, but they haven't necessarily been following these things for the past 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years. So let me see. I mean, I've been aware of a lot of things since I would say at least 2000. I'll give it 2009. Well, no, I'll go further back. I'd say 2008 is when I really started kind of being involved and knowing what was going on. And so the most important thing that you need to understand is that Sonetta has two motivations, because there's a lot of confused, especially confused women about who this man is and about what he does. And they're asking this man to do stuff. I'm sorry, y'all. Male. They're asking this male to do stuff that is not in his nature. Like have compassion, have integrity, toe the line, pick a side. There's a lot of people asking this man to pick a side when he doesn't have a side. Okay. So what are Sonetta's two motivations in life? He has two main motivations. The first one is money. Okay. That's the number one motivating factor. How he makes his decisions as to what he does, where he goes, how he does it. The number one thing is money. The second motivation that Sonetta has is notoriety and fame. That's number two. So when you're looking at someone like a Sonetta and you're wondering, why does he do the things that he does? Why did he endorse this person? Why won't he stand with this person? Why won't he stand on principle? I'm so upset, and just all the theatrics. Listen, you're making things way more complicated than what they are. Sonetta has two main motivations. One is money and the second is fame and notoriety. So everything that he does has to do with that. Now, people are criticizing him for supporting Brother Polite. One thing that you have to understand is that Sonetta and Brother Polite have fallen out over the years many, many times. I have tried to share with you ladies on this channel that narcissists fall out with one another from time to time. You should expect that. We need to get out of a perpetual state of confusion and misunderstanding of narcissistic behavior. We're constantly being bamboozled and confused. Why are you confused when you have the blueprint on narcissistic abuse? You have no reason to be confused. You don't. We can pull up the list of traits right now of grandiose narcissism, and I can walk you through step by step. Why are these people behaving the way that they do? We can look at it. We can look at it symptom by symptom, by characteristic with this personality disorder. We can look it up step by step, and it will be the blueprint to understanding why. So people are upset, like they don't know who he is. I can't believe he would endorse a pedophile. What's happening? Girl, stop. This isn't the first time he's endorsed a pedophile or a woman beater. Years and years ago, he was heavily promoting the Hebrew Israelites on his channel. And down in Brooklyn, or not Brooklyn, up in Harlem and Uptown, peddling CDs on the corner. Because what some of y'all don't know is that before there was YouTube, there was CDs. That's how Sonetta came to uh it was DVDs. That's how Sonetta came to prominence. He used to sell DVDs in Harlem and in New York. This is before YouTube. For y'all young folks who don't know a world without YouTube, before there was YouTube, we used to pass around DVDs. That's how we would find out information. That's how we would get consciousness information. People would pass around DVDs. And so that is how Sonetta came to prominence. Now, some people accuse him of being sort of a gatekeeper to consciousness, and he kind of used to be. He kind of used to be when people were reliant on DVDs and people were very much so reliant on his endorsements. He had a little bit more prominence, and he had a little bit more of an influence on the conscious community, like who would pop off and who wouldn't pop off. A lot of that was hinged on Sonetta back in the day. But now that we have Instagram and YouTube in this new generation, Sonetta isn't the gatekeeper on information anymore. He's not the gatekeeper on who can pop and who can't pop. If you can master the YouTube algorithm, you can pop. You know what I'm saying? You just have to be smart and consistent. You don't need Sonetta to endorse you. So I would say most of the people who really care are definitely people from an older generation like myself, who are older millennials and Generation X people, because they still hold him in a certain esteem and a certain prominence that he used to have that has long set sail. Like it's so in the past. It's just irrelevant at this point, given today's landscape. Given today's landscape of how information is distributed and how people pop or don't, really is really not dependent on a Sonetta or anyone like him. You can liken a Sonetta to someone like a Don King, right? He's sort of like the Don King of consciousness. So over the years, if you have the time to sort of look up some of the past beefs and shenanigans and sort of antics that Sonetta would do, he would do all these antics before he would have he also used to do events, like in-person events. He used to do like they used to call them like lectures. Now the lecture scene has definitely died down, and I think COVID pretty much wiped out the last, vestige of like touring lectures and whatnot. But that was another big money making scheme of Sonetta's as well, as he used to have these lectures. A lot of them were in Harlem, and some of them were in Brooklyn, just different places in New York. And sometimes he would create beefs and problems, and he would hype people up, and there was no limits to what this guy would do to promote these events. He would start up fights, yo mama, that kind of stuff. And some of which really actually did spill over to real actual violence back in the day, right? So that's Sonetta. He's never been one to do things on the up and up, like, oh, I'm just going to legitly, promote my event, and whoever comes, but I don't need to like involve, violence or, cause threats to people or insult people. No, he's never been that guy. Okay. He's always been the guy who had no limits as to how far he would be willing to go for a dollar. I'm sorry, I'm folding up clothes right now, so that's what y'all hear in the background. So that's him. And so what we have here is we have a track record of a person who doesn't operate on any type of moral code. Not at all. He doesn't have one, and he never has. So anyone who has willfully looked past his track record of deviant behavior, scamming, scheming, really toting the line as to what is, acceptable, always pushing the limits, always going overboard, always doing things not on the up and up. He's never, ever, ever cared or vetted anybody on his platform. He never has. Again, let me just reiterate the two things that motivate this guy. The number one thing is money, and the second thing is notoriety and fame. Okay. So when he's thinking about who he's going to align himself with, he's thinking, who can make me the most money? When he's thinking about what kind of content he wants to promote on his page, he's thinking about what's going to make me the most money. When he's thinking about standing up against any issue, whether it be pedophilia, whether it be violence against women, whether it be um, polygamy, whether it be whatever, it's always going to revert back to what is going to make me the most money. Now, for me, this is part of the reason why I've never respected this guy. I don't respect people who fly with the wind. I I tend to gravitate towards people, even if I don't agree with them, I tend to gravitate towards people. They earn my respect when they're consistent in their dealings and they have a code that comes from within. So you can't just come to people like that with whatever cockamamie idea and or position and expect for that person to get behind you, because that person, if they have something inside of them that's guiding them, they're going to run it through that filter. They're going to run it through, what does this align with my values? Right? Does this align with my values? Is this something that I can get behind? Is this something that we can we can have a coalition on this? Or is this something that, even if I don't agree with 100% of what you do, but can I align with 25% of what you do and what you say? Okay, so that's not what Sonetta does. Okay, it doesn't. His question is, will this make me money? What will give me the most views? So if it's a Hebrew Israelite who's been accused of touching children and beating their wife, or beating their girlfriends, or having all their girlfriends and all their women on Section 8 and food stamps and welfare, and he doesn't work, and all the women are on government aid and they supposedly doing polygamy, do you think that that type of man, that type of male can come on Sonetta's platform? Yes, they can. Even if they're kicking stupid information that is pedophilic in nature, that is anti-woman in nature, that is just pure foolishness. They're wearing crazy costumes and yelling at people on the corner in New York and on all of America. Can they come on Sonetta's platform? Yeah, they can. Black women had already been petitioned Sonetta a long time ago. Even some of those Hebrew Israelites ex-wives had pled to the community, please stop promoting these guys. They beat me, they made me get welfare, they started extracting resources from me. This is the truth, these guys are lying. Do you think that anybody believed those Black women? The answer is no. The answer is no. Do you think that Polite had any type of compassion for those women? No. Do you think that he shared any of the revenue that was generated from those videos with those women? The answer is no. So this is nothing new. Believe him when he said what he said, and he said what he meant. When he was confronted with brother Polite's allegations of being indecent with a child and being a pedophile, he said that I don't care what he does with his D. And he said what he said, and he meant what he said. There's been so many times that I've heard narcissists speak their mind and they say what they say, and people don't want to accept it to be fact. They don't want to accept it to be their truth. He's speaking his truth. He doesn't care, and he never has, and he never will. Stop spending your time and your divine feminine energy trying to plead with a man who has blatantly said and showed you over and over and over again, consistently through the years, that he doesn't care about Black women and children. What about you won't accept that? Why? Well, I think he should do this. I think he should do that. Should. You just got shoulded on. You just got shitted on due to your own inability to accept who this person is. Listen, this relates to everything that I've been talking about on this channel, because I constantly keep walking you ladies through different scenarios where narcissists are being themselves. They're letting their colors show. They're telling you who they are. And you have to believe them for your own well-being, for the well-being. And this is another theme that's very important in this dynamic. When it comes to protecting children and women, especially children, when it comes to protecting children, we have our stances and we say what we say, but when it gets hard when it's somebody that you supposedly like, right? Then we want to give all the passes in the world. We want to give all the passes in the world. Well, he really didn't mean that. He needs to retract his statement and restate it like this. And I just need him to come out and just kind of clarify what he really meant. No, babe, no. It's not about clarifying what he really meant. He said what he said. The real problem is that you just don't want to accept what he said. That's the issue. The issue isn't with what he said. This is the thing. This is a grand revealing. This is a grand revelation in the Black community. And I sympathize and I empathize with this young woman. Truth be told, go check out Black Femicide's Instagram page. Black women and girls are being killed and maimed, it's seriously injured at least every 6 hours in this country. Okay. They say, but okay, the people can argue about the numbers of women who have been molested or raped at anywhere between 40 and 80%. Okay, so there's different numbers just depending on which statistics that you're looking at, but we're at least looking at between 40 to we're at least looking at between 40 and 80% of Black women being raped or molested, right? So there's hundreds of thousands of girls who are not getting the attention. There's predators who are not getting the attention that a Polite is getting. So he's getting the attention because he is a prominent predator, right? So here we are. Black YouTube and Black Instagram are a reflection of what's going on in everyday Black society. So Polite represents predators that roam about in the Black community right now, whose maybe their mothers don't even have the courage to go and report it. So using him as an example, this really goes to show the revelation. Like you get to see who is aligning themselves with Polite, who is defending him, who is making excuses for him. And this is how we need to move going forward with a situation like this. Those are the people who need to be isolated, right? Those are the people who never need to be left alone with children. Those are the people who every single time they get into a relationship and that woman has children, people need to be dropping into her inbox and saying, hey, I just wanted to let you know, back in 2011, when Brother Polite got accused of rape, your boyfriend made excuses for it. So you need to watch your daughter. I would recommend that you really think about that, right? Unfortunately, we still have a long way to go. We have a long way to go in terms of moving as a unit. And I'm not even including Black men. Fuck them. Fuck them. They're fuck them. I'm not including Black men in this. I'm talking about Black women. I don't even have enough confidence in Black men right now as a collective to expect anything but degeneracy from them. I don't have, and part of the reason why I don't have the confidence is because in my everyday life, I'll give you a quick story. In my everyday life, Black men make excuses for pedophiles. In my everyday life. Let me give you a quick little story. I was at the gym a few months ago, and I work out in a small group. So I keep seeing the same people over and over again. And if you keep seeing the same people over and over again, you kind of get to know them a little bit. They get to know you a little bit because you keep seeing each other and you're in a small, intimate space. So I'm working out, and this is when the whole T.I. and Tiny situation popped off with the allegations that that they had been trafficking women, drugging women, sleeping with women when they were under the influence. And then there are also a few underage allegations in there as well, right? And so I speak out against it and I say, it's wrong. You shouldn't do that. And if they're underage people, that he should basically face the fullest extent of the law. And somehow a struggle bandit, a mammy and a pick-me come out of nowhere talking about, well, look at the R. Kelly situation. You can't say that because those girls, some of them women was grown. And I said, yeah, some of those women were grown, but also some of those girls were kids. Well, it was really their parents' fault. Their parents is the one that gave them to R. Kelly. So, it's really the parents' fault. Okay, so you mean to tell me that if a child happens to be born to parents who don't have a fucking sense of a bird, you think that it's okay to abuse that girl? That's how this struggle bandit sound. And his mammy and the pick me. So you have two females and one male. Nobody's willing to stand up for black girls, not even just in voice. I'm not saying run with your cape on to Chicago and rescue them from Trump Tower, from R. Kelly's clutches, but you won't even be willing to verbally just say it's wrong to abuse girls. It's wrong. You won't even be willing to say that. And that's in my regular everyday life. So I, YouTube is just a reflection of what's going on in the black community, period. It's a reflection. It isn't oh, this isn't what really people really think. No, there are degenerate ass black people who really think like this. There really are. We have such a long way to go to have zero tolerance for pedophilia. That has been my stance for years. Zero tolerance. You have swift action to isolate pedophiles from the community. Swift and precise action. Not, oh, well, let's wait and see. We don't know the circumstances. We have to see what she did. What did she have on? Was she acting fast? Was she acting grown? Let me tell you this. If you have children, you need to be listening. When people have conversations and an allegation for pedophilia comes up and the person tells you, well, that little girl is fast, or that little girl is this or that, or they don't have an immediate uh, support for the protection of black women and girls, you need to never leave that person alone with your child. Because even if they're not the one to do it, they will be the one to look the other way. When it comes to making friends, when it comes to making like play dates and alliances and people in the community, when you have children, you need to make sure that you're on the same page about that. Because that's where a lot of our vulnerabilities come in. That's where a lot of our vulnerabilities come in, when we don't have a zero tolerance and we allow ourselves to, fraternize with people who don't have a zero tolerance against pedophilia. I've always had that stance, zero tolerance. And I believe anybody who does, they should be excommunicated from the community. How do you keep getting invited to Thanksgiving dinner and you're a pedophile? Why do you keep being able to come over for the family reunions and be around children when you're a convicted pedophile? When you have a multitude of allegations against you? Why do we constantly look the other way to this type of degenerate behavior as a community? It's a sick, sick, sick situation. And as long as we keep tolerating it, and as long as we don't have a non-ambiguous condemnation against pedophilia, these predators will continue to ravage black children. They will continue to ravage black children. Because they'll always have access. There's always going to be some stupid pick-me, some mammy, some fellow predator, because predators protect each other, that's going to try to gain access to black children. And they do it a lot of times through women's stupidity. Women be willingly stupid. My godmother always taught me, if you cannot give a person your social security card and your bank account information, don't give them your baby. If you wouldn't let them hold your purse, don't let them have your baby. Our babies need to be more sacred than our financial information. Whatever security measures that you have to protect your financial information, those security measures needs to be that even stronger to protect your children. But this isn't about black women right now. This is about Sonetta and people like him. That's really what I came on here to talk about. Because I keep hearing the same tired talking points getting recirculated and recirculated because y'all refuse to accept narcissists for who they are. You want them to be someone who they not, but you just don't want to accept who they are. How many times does this man have to show you who he is before you finally will start believing him? He's had any number of thieves, scammers, women beaters, drug addicts, community thieves, people who have stolen millions of dollars from the Black community on his platform over the years. He doesn't give a shit. Please accept that to be true. He doesn't give a shit about Black people's well-being. The faster Black women begin to understand who's for us and who's not for us, the faster you'll be able to get into a place of understanding. Because if you wallow in confusion, it makes it hard to move on any one point. Let me repeat myself. If you wallow in confusion, it makes it hard for you to move on any one point. Because you're so busy trying to get understanding from a confused individual. Listen, the reason why you're confused is because his loyalty flows with wherever the money goes. Okay, his loyalty flows wherever the money goes. Please get that through your head, Black woman. I've talked on this channel in terms of dating about knowing what you know and trusting what you trust coming from the inside of you as opposed to what anyone is telling you. Because that's what narcissists do. You know what they're banking on? They're banking on the fact that you're going to listen to what they say and you're not going to watch what they do. They're relying on that fact. They would prefer that you listen to the words coming out of their mouth and that you say never mind to the shit that they're doing. They don't want you to pay attention to what they're doing. They don't want to be judged on their actions. They want to be judged on their words, on what they say, because they can make things sound beautiful, especially the grandiose ones, which is who he is. He's a grandiose narcissist. He's no different than polite. See, this is another thing that I've educated you guys on over the past several videos about narcissists clashing with one another. Tasha K is a narcissist, but everyone's giving her a pass on her shitty behavior because she's breaking stories. Or she broke this story. She broke a story with R. Kelly. She broke a story with Derek Jackson, right? So everybody wants to give Tasha K a pass for her narcissistic behavior over the years. But narcissists clash from time to time. Why did Tasha K have Kevin Samuels on her show? Because she doesn't give a shit about Black women. That's why I keep telling y'all. Well, I don't understand. She's a dark-skinned Black woman. Why would she betray us? She ain't never been for you. When has Tasha K been for you? Because she breaks some stories. She don't give a shit about you as a Black woman. Tasha K goes where the money goes, okay? The faster you get that through your skull, the faster you'll be able to move forward on an action. We need to have a unified condemnation of pedophilia in the Black community. We need to be isolating and exposing every single person that is co-signing polite, including a Sonetta. Now, this isn't to say that Sonetta hasn't been condoning problematic, predatory Black males on his platform for over 15 years. Okay? He has been promoting and supporting problematic, abusive, scamming Black males on his platform for over 15 years. But maybe, just maybe, this will be the straw that breaks the camel back that will help you understand who this underdeveloped male is. Maybe this will be enough for some Black women. That they will not be trying to somehow garner some personal relationship that they have with this narcissist to try to play on his heartstrings when he doesn't have a heart. Okay? Where his heart should be is a bank where he collects money. Okay? There's no morality. There's no right or wrong with him. There's no right or wrong with narcissists. Whatever they can get away with is right. This is how they process information. You need to stop projecting your good heart onto people who don't have one. Because projection goes both ways, ladies. Projection goes both ways. There may be people projecting negative things onto people because they have negativity inside of them. When you project good qualities on people who don't have them because you have good qualities inside of you, you need to get out of how you think and you need to get into how they think. Again, you need to get out of how you think and how you process information and get into how they think and how they process information. So you don't have to sit up here and try to implore a narcissist to be good. That's not how they work. The only thing that you can do is take something away from them that they care about. You have to go into manipulation mode. You have to. That's the only way. The only way you can deal with a narcissist is to employ their own tactics onto them. That's the only way. Now, you're talking to one of your girlfriends. Yeah, you might be able to implore with her and make her see your way of view. Or if you're dealing with a regular human, oh, look at it this way. Consider this. Think about the children. That might work on them. But it's not going to work on someone like a sonnetter. It's not. He doesn't care about doing the right thing when no one's looking. He doesn't give a shit about that. He only cares about money. Now, let's back it up. He called Michael Novak, aka Brother Polite, a long time ago. He called him a baby York. Malachi York is a convicted pedophile who's currently serving time, I want to say, in a Georgia prison. So Sonnetter had information that he had been abusing girls a long time ago. So what was Sonnetter trying to achieve when he threatened Brother Polite with this allegation, or this, like, hey, I'm going to expose you? What was Sonnetter trying to achieve? Do you think that his mission was to protect Black women and girls? Do you think that his mission was to do the right thing? Do you think that his mission was to make Polite stop abusing girls? No. His mission was to get Polite to come back onto his platform to help him make more money, because they had a joint venture. And that's what it's always been about. He's fallen out with other narcissistic so-called conscious dudes a lot over the years. It's always about money. It's always about money. 80% of the time. Sometimes it's about more petty shit, like, oh, you didn't say my name right, or oh, you didn't put my name right on the program. I'm more important than this guy. I should have been listed first. Oh, the font on the flyer wasn't big enough. My name should have been the headline. I should have been the headliner. No, I should have been the headliner. No, I should have been the headliner. This is how these narcissists argue with each other, because they care about fame and money and notoriety, and they're all grandiose, and I ain't doing shit. You know, Sonetta used to have guys come to his house and sit around in the living room and talk for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours about nothing, pontificating about stupid shit, and they used to call it building. That's where that dumbass concept got introduced to the community, through his ass. Oh, we're building, brothers, we building. And then the Black women are like, well, what all did y'all build? Did y'all have is there going to be an electric an electric, why can't I say this damn word? An electricity grid that we can get on, that we can get off the white man's grid and get on y'all's grid? You know, did y'all build a supermarket so we can shop at y'all supermarket? We don't have to shop at the white man's supermarket. Do we have a clinic now where we can go have our babies and go get checkups, and we don't have to go to the white man's hospital where we get abused? No. They would just be sitting around in a toxic bromance, you know, shooting the shit about nothing useful, and call it building. You can thank him for that. Oh my gosh, this is such a clusterfuck. Well, you know, on the bright side of it all, Take a look. Y'all go check out Sweet Ma's page. She had like an epically long live that I'm absolutely not going to have enough time to watch all of it. But Sweet Ma for Life has a video where she kind of talks about everyone who has publicly supported Polite. It's important that we take note. We need to be writing these things down. We need to be writing these things down. We need to be understanding who is who. And we need to be believing them the first time. So if they came out and they publicly supported Polite because it seems sort of like acceptable to do it right now, right? It's kind of like you really don't have much to lose the way they look at it. I don't have anything to lose if I come out and publicly support Brother Polite. So I'm not going to lose anything. So they're going to tell you their true heart right now because they feel like they don't have anything to lose. So they feel like I can do what I want to do because I don't have nothing is at stake for me personally. So now is the time to take the notes to see who is publicly aligning themselves or making excuses or endorsing or standing by a pedophile. I don't give a shit about loyalty. That doesn't mean anything to me when it comes to pedophile. That is that's worse than murder. Pedophilia is worse than murder in my eyes. Because when you get murdered, you die, you're gone. When you get violated as a child, you have to live that horror for the rest of your life. You have to endure the pain of that abuse for the rest of your life. That's why I consider it the most egregious, horrible, most unacceptable, intolerable crimes against humanity is pedophilia. So, write down who is supporting this shit. There is no reason why any Black woman anywhere should be having any affiliation or trying to call or pander to or try to get the ear of a Sonetta. He has showed you who he is. Believe him. Believe him. While I got you on the line, y'all, I be saying stuff to lose subscribers all the time, but I don't care. Obviously, I don't care. Obviously, I don't care. Obviously, I don't care because there'd be topics that I speak on that'll be really controversial because there's going to be somebody on my page that follows somebody and they don't like what I say and they unsubscribe. And then maybe like a week later or a few days later, somebody else find my channel who like it and then they end up subscribing. So I lose 2 and I gain 4. I lose 2 and I gain 5. I lose 3 and I gain 2. That's how this whole dance has been going as a slow, tortoise crawl to the 1,000, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So let's back this thing up and let's talk about, oh God, this is sad. Q Butter coming on to the panel yesterday with Sinji, Nyla, Irene, and I think Woman Sphere was on there for a little while, but she might have had to drop off. Oh, and Tanya. No, I don't know if Woman Sphere was there, but Tanya was there. Why have I really not really ever got behind Q Butter? I am not convinced, y'all. I'm not convinced. I have a spirit of discernment inside of me. And I am not convinced of this guy. I'm sorry. I know a lot of women are, and I'm not one of them. I am not convinced about him. I think that the bar of being a good Black man is very low. And that's why he has the notoriety that he has. It's almost like if you don't beat women and abuse women, then you're automatically the most amazing man ever. That's how low the bar is for Black men in the Black community. All you have to do is to not be engaging in criminality and not be actively abusing Black women and children. And then that's enough to be like supported by Black women and everybody else. There's been so many Black women that have homeschool networks. There's a Black woman I know, at least out in Atlanta, that has like this national thing, like a national conference every year that attracts homeschoolers from all over the country, that's been putting in work. Why hasn't the Black community got behind her or any other Black woman who's doing education, work in education, when you have a split between people giving their money to Umar Johnson and giving their money to Q Butter? Why? Because we live in a Black male worshiping society. Even those who sit up here and say that they're against that, they engage in that when it's somebody that they like. And we never sit to ask ourselves as Black women, why don't I equally support a Black woman who's doing this exact same thing a Black man is doing, or who might be doing it at a better level than him? Why am I automatically drawn to support a Black man over a Black woman? Do we ever sit and ask ourselves those kinds of questions? And that is what I sit with. And that's why I have never been able to get behind Q Butter, because I'm not impressed. Maybe I'm hard to impress because of the level, the caliber of Black women that I've worked with over the years who are in education, who are articulate and sophisticated and well read and present themselves beautifully. And then you're gonna give me that, and you want me to compare that to what Black women are doing? Or even in other communities, compare him to another man in other communities. Go speak with the principal when you get into private education and you start mingling around people in private education from other communities, even people who have like schools of Mandarin. I've dated Indian guys who teach their children Tamil Nadu. They have their own Indian language and culture schools, and talk with those parents, and then talk with the people who are running those institutions and seeing how they do it and how they speak and how they fundraise and the level of sophistication. And then you show me that on the other side with what we have, and I'm just like, me personally, I'm not impressed. So I just can't get behind something that does not motivate me, something that I don't believe in it. I believe in the concept of educating Black children in a culturally, relevant or way. I believe in that. I believe in making sure that we have the education that we need. We have our own history, that we show and we present the world from an African perspective, from an African paradigm, an African worldview. I agree with the concept, but the leader is someone who I can't get behind because I'm not inspired by that logic. I'm not inspired by the presentation. I'm not inspired by the way things move. I'm simply not. And I feel like the bar is so low because Umar Johnson, who's a dope fiend and a struggle bandit, comes out and steals over $2.5 million from the Black community. The bar is in hell. So any random guy can just have a rinky-dink institution and get all the support of Black women. And we'll even ignore Black women who need support. We will ignore Black women who need support, Black women education, Black teachers, Black principals, Black women principals, Black women institution leaders, Black women who have homeschool networks. We will ignore those women and we will prop up because we have been conditioned to support Black men no matter what, no matter how mediocre, no matter how half-stepping, no matter how rinky-dinkish it is. We will put our support behind that shit, and it will ignore our own sisters. But that's our problem as Black women. That's something that we need to look at within ourselves and say, why do we keep doing this shit? And how are we ever going to get to where we need to get if we don't get behind each other? At least to ride with each other. At least. Because that logic that he presented on there was some old Tyrone Spectrum ass logic. For real. Well, that's just what the old heads do. That's the best you have? That's the best you can give me? Is that's what the old heads used to do? I'm sorry, bro. That's not enough. That's unacceptable. If ever there was a time to either shut up and be completely quiet or to speak or to get on the right side of history, you chose wrong. This is the kind of guy that I would have had to fire in the back in the day. I used to do fundraising consulting, which had to do with PR, marketing, board development. I used to do that kind of work. That's the kind of client I would have to fire. You don't listen. Black women on the panel were trying to help you out, and you are committed to going down in a sinking ship because you don't want to listen to black women. Black men only like to listen to black women when we're stroking their egos, when we're telling them all the great things about them. Oh, king, you're this. Oh, king, you're so great. Oh, king, thank you for doing this. You're the only man in the community doing the work. Oh, you're doing so good. Oh, you do. They want to listen to you then. But if you say, hey, brother, this is, listen, I done been down this road. I'm gonna tell you, like, nah, you want to definitely turn and go the other way because there's danger down that route. They don't want to hear that shit. They only want to listen to you when you're telling them things that are the things that they want to hear, but they don't want to listen to you when you're telling them to do something that they don't want to do. And even if they don't want to act on what you're saying right away, they don't even want to say, well, let me pause for the cause so I can listen to what you have to say and evaluate what you're saying, because I've been listening to you so far over the past few years, and you've been supporting me for the past few years. I've been rocking with you for the past few years. So let me take into consideration everything that you're telling me, and I'm going to take into consideration to what this other side is telling me, and I'm not going to make no statements on it until I sort it out. That would also be acceptable. But to just jump out there and keep going down the same path of, well, that's what the old heads used to say, and I don't want to do this, and people are calling me, and so I felt like I had to respond. Like, why? Why do you feel like you have to respond because people are calling you? Like, who gives a shit? That ain't even your mission. Your mission is to educate children. This don't have shit to do with you, really. You could just eat your cake somewhere, right? Eat your food and just live your life. Have your birthday. You don't have to even get involved in this, and I wouldn't. And it's like, no matter how we're trying to tell you, stay out of it, 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 and you just can't stay out. Why? It's compulsive. It's impulsive. You can't resist the urge to just wallow in mess, even and even in jeopardy of risking all the stuff that you done built so far. Even at tarnishing and blemishing the track record that you have built so far, the the desire to be involved in the mess is just too irresistible for you. This is the thing, like, why can't black men be led from within? It doesn't matter if you get 15 phone calls asking you to get inside of a bullshit. You should be thinking as a man, and even as a woman, as a strong, free thinking person, does this make sense for me and my mission? And everything should be filtered through that lens. Does it make sense for me to get involved with this, given what I'm doing in the world? And if you don't have the common sense to, I feel confirmed and affirmed in my never getting behind the shit. I feel confirmed and affirmed that I've never been a supporter of that. I have some content against Umar Johnson, but I don't support people just because they present themselves to be the answer to an Umar Johnson, or they present themselves to be the antithesis of an Umar Johnson. That isn't enough for me. I still will vet each individual person on their merit, on their leadership skills, as to what it is that they are presenting. I'm still going to vet you. And I've never been convinced, and I stand affirmed, and I feel good about my initial decision that it just wasn't hitting on nothing, wasn't moving me, just wasn't. Any adult in the black community should have a swift response to allegations of pedophiles. Easily. That's where we need to be headed towards. Swiftly. And people who support it. Because I think that the big thing that we missed, which we can review later, thanks to Sweet Ma, I saw this video. There's a video of Brother Polite making excuses and endorsing Malachi York, even though he had been accused. He was speaking to a victim of the pedophilia, an adult, victim who had then since grown up. And he basically endorsed it, and I missed it, and I feel terrible about that. I never seen that video till this day, and I'll talk about that separately. I'll talk about what I was told about Malachi York when I got into the conscious community. I will tell you what I was told, but I never seen that video. I met one woman It was a woman and a brother, like a sibling pair. They lived on that Nuwapian um they lived on that Nuwapian property, and I knew, okay, so she was like a mutual friend. She was a friend through a friend. And I asked my friend, like, what happened? Like, I had heard that he was abusing children. Is it true? Like, what was her experience like in Nuwapianville or whatever it was called? And my friend told me, I can't speak on her behalf. You need to ask her directly. So one day I did. I asked her, I was like, so and so told me that you live in Nuapia. Like, how was it for you? And she was like, I don't want to talk about it. So I said, okay. I didn't push it. Like, she said, I don't want to talk about it. So I said, okay. So I never knew, like, I never knew, because I can tell you the things that I was told, I never could get a confirmation. The one time I met people who lived there, they wouldn't tell me anything about it, her or her brother. So I didn't know. But if I would have saw that video of that young man telling his story and saw Brother Polite being so vicious and showing a lack of compassion and empathy for him, I would have known a lot sooner. But we can go into that later, because yes, Brother Polite and his minions long time ago tried to scam me. I don't get into scams. If it's something that I don't understand, I'm not going to put my money into it. Okay. So Brother Polite has been scamming for years. Okay, this was in like 2011. They was trying to scam me. So this is nothing new. He don't have no moral code. He's a scammer. He's a schemer. And the main thing that I want y'all to understand is that Sonetta is not your friend. He's not an elder. He's not a baba. He's not a spiritual nothing. He's not a man to be appreciated. He's not. Don't and listen. Okay, he's probably going to try to do something to win back Black women's favor. He's probably going to try to do something to get back into the good graces, but just don't ever forget this. This needs to be etched in your memory forever, that he said that man can do with his penis whatever he wants. That's what he said. So don't try to clean it up for him. Don't try to fix what he said. He said what he said, and he meant what he said. So if that means violating a 5-year-old, if that means violating a 7-year-old, if that means violating an elderly person, if that means violating a paraplegic, if that means violating an animal, if that means violating a little boy, it doesn't matter. He's never going to do what you will. Laissez-faire, do what you will. That's his attitude on it. And then whatever you do, you can come onto my platform and you can promote your stuff, because I'm all about my money. And whatever fame you have is going to rub off on me, and then I'll get more notoriety. And that's the game at the end of the day. I'm going to look at y'all's comments. Let me see what y'all talking about. I'm sorry, I've been going off. Please forgive me. I've not looked at nobody's comments. Ay, Dios mío. Okay. Hey, Jelia. He's hella rude, mean, arrogant, nasty. That was my last time speaking to both of them. Yeah, that's an alignment. He's been like that for years. He's mean, arrogant, nasty. Yeah, those things are true. And he's been consistent through the years. Zero tolerance against pedophilia. Tasha K goes where the money is. She's loyal to her bag first and foremost. Yes, she is. She'll continue to bust out other narcissists, but she is who she is. She's a narcissist herself. She's done a lot of grimy things to people, and a lot of times she just makes up shit that's not true. She mixes truth with mixes truth with falsehood, which makes people believe her all the time. Yes, he was trying to get money from Polite, and he was also trying to get Polite to come back onto his platform, because they had a formula. Polite and Sonetta had a formula that was making them both money, and Polite didn't, Polite kind of felt like, well, I don't really need you anymore, Polite. Sonetta, I'm going to do my own thing. And Sonetta was like, no, you better come back over here. You're not going to leave me high and dry when we had something that was working. And he owed him money. So as long as Polite would give Sonetta money, he would never turn him in for abusing girls. Yes, yes, Jay, Antoinette, it does. It's horrible. It's a horrible crime that should be unforgivable. The thing about pedophilia is that it's compulsive and people never stop. So the average pedophile abuses 25 children at least. Once they go to jail and they get out, they don't reform. They never stop having demonic thoughts about children. That's another thing about pedophiles. Even if they're not engaging in pedophilia, they still think about it. And sometimes that's why they have child pornography on their computers and stuff. They can never, it's one of those, like, it's almost like a personality disorder, almost, because it's so compulsive. It's like they will risk dying to abuse a child. Like, if you like, hey, there's lions in there, but there's also a little child to be violated, they will risk being mauled by lions to abuse a child. That's how compulsive it is for them. They're very dangerous. They have to be isolated. They have to be identified and isolated from Black children. Keep them away from all children and all vulnerable people. They also abuse people with mental disabilities, people with like elderly people, people who are bedridden, people who are very vulnerable. They also abuse them as well. And animals. Hide your kids, hide your wives, hide your animals. Oh, you're welcome, Jay. It's good that you don't know. But if you ever hear of this guy, if you ever see what's going on, if you ever hear conversations of people trying to plead to his morality, understand that it is a futile effort. Okay? It's a futile effort. This guy has shown over 25 years to be an immoral actor in the Black community, and he will never change. Thank you, Mocha Mommy. No, Alchemy, you're not the only one. And I don't know. Maybe I don't want to bust nobody else out. I'm not even going to show your message because I stand to lose a lot of subscribers behind that stance that I just took. But I'm willing to stand on my square. I believe what I believe. And if I lose subscribers, it is what it is. It is what it is. What's her name? I want to homeschool my baby. I'll Alchemy, you're on the if you're on the Discord, hit my message and I will send you her. I want to say it's gosh, I know I get that invitation like every year. She does a big homeschooling event in Atlanta every year. I need to remember her name, but like ping me on Instagram or Discord so I can remember to look it up and give it to you. And then maybe I'll just share it as a resource on this channel so that women who want to support women who are leaders in Black education, they will be able to do so. He's a super struggle trash bag, Dusty. Super struggle trash bag Dusty. He is like he's king of the trash bag. But it's like every time I think that the level of like trash bagdom has gotten like to the epitome of like trash bag bandit status, somebody comes and knocks that bandit off the throne and they take the throne as super trash bag struggle bandit. Ay, Dios mío. Yes, black male worship is so fucking. Oh, girl, I was in the Tyrone Twilight Zone for real because these guys don't want to listen. I have had to fire clients in the past for this very purpose. I'm sitting up here as the fundraising expert. I'm telling you, listen, to get the money, we need your image to be this. This is what I want you to say. I need you to remove these particular posts. I need you to put this on. You cannot dress like that. Listen, my thing is this, when you're my client and I'm trying to get money for you and I'm trying to raise money for you, I don't care what you do inside your house with your family behind closed doors, but you need to always present a certain image to the community because you're almost like a public servant. When you become a public servant, because you like when you step into the realm of education, when you step into the realm of like children, or politics or things of that nature, you're stepping into the public servant role. So there's a way that you always have to present yourself, and you give up you you have to really be mission driven because you give up the ability to express yourself however way you want to, right? You give it up. And that's just the real deal Holyfield. You give it up. Like you can't be a rapper that talks about certain images and then also be a principal, right? You can't get online and fraternize with scrupulous individuals and be a school principal. You can't. If you go to the club, you need to go to the club low key, right? And if you're going to be on Instagram, it better be a nice place. And you better not be like twerking and acting a damn fool, right? Like, it's okay for you to be on Instagram and you're involved with like children and stuff, but it needs to be classy. You can't, if you're going to go to a ratchet place, make sure that you're not on Instagram. Make sure you're not streaming it live. I'm not saying don't be ratchet sometimes. Do whatever you want, but just from a public relations standpoint, if you are my client, I would say don't do that. Don't do that. You can't, because you're going to mess up your bag. You're going to mess up your reputation. You can't. You got to pick a lane. Either you're going to be for children and you're going to step into that super. I mean, it's like you walk such a fine line when you get into that. Even public school teachers cannot post whatever they want on their social media. They risk getting fired. They can't talk about their political views. They can't talk about the things that they like. They can't talk about issues of morality or religion openly. They have to kind of be a bit vanilla and a bit, a moderate. And that's just kind of like what you give up to step into education. So you can't be going into pigsties and slinging mud with pigs and jumping into controversy that has nothing to do with you because whatever reason. And then you got to be intelligent. Think about things. Be strategic. That's what we were really missing among Black men, the strategy part of things. The bar is so low for their leadership that it's like, we need you to be a leader. We need you to be okay, but we also need you to be a strategist. And it's like so many Black women end up getting into these situations with Black men where they're constantly trying to give Black men strategy. They're constantly trying to, get them out of the situation that they're in. And a lot of times they just don't listen to us. They do whatever they want anyway. So it's just like, all right, you're going to do whatever you want, then do whatever you want. I'm not getting involved with your bullshit. Do what you want then. I'm out. I'm out. Tyrone Spectrum. Oh gosh. Yeah, Sin was trying to help him, girl, but he just couldn't. I'm scrolling through. Hey y'all. This goes to their misogyny and their need to shut up so they can feel good about themselves. Hey, Alexander. Malachi York was big. I knew people affiliated too. Yeah, I did, girl. Darling Ebony, you was in a conscious community? We might know each other. We might know each other. Yeah, we might know each other. I knew about that situation. Shoot, girl, if you was in Chicago, bandits like like we couldn't even imagine, bandits, girl. Oh, good. I'm glad his children turned him in. Yeah, I'm gonna find that video and I'm gonna show it and I'm going to 1,000 children? Oh, okay. No, that's what he said. He gave that scenario. But Brother Polite, Michael Nowak said, if Malachi York molested 1,000 kids, I would still worship him. That's what he said. So I think that's a big missing like lesson for me, is that I feel guilty in that I should have researched it further. Like, I never supported Malachi York because for me, an allegation is enough without, like, for me, it wasn't a direct allegation. I heard rumors that he was abusing children, and that's why I got shut down. But I was also lied to by bandits who told me that they were all made up, they were trumped up charges, they were just upset that a Black man was building. This is what I was told when I was coming into things so fresh, in my 20s, so young, so impressionable. That's what I was told. But I wish that I would have looked into further. If I would have seen that video years ago, I would have known sooner. I really hate that I didn't, because that was complete trash what he did. Yeah, Josie is agreeing with me that pedophiles abuse is compulsive and it's something that never goes away. That's why some people ask that they be neutered. Yeah, yeah. Seriously, like, seriously. Thank you for, message me on Discord, girl. It's clear that Umar is dumb as F. The people who follow him must not know any better, or they are delusional. Yeah, it's also black male worship culture. They don't care that he's a dope fiend. They don't care that he's homeless. They don't care that he doesn't pay child support. They don't care. They don't care that he constantly berates and belittles black women online. They don't care. They don't care that he doesn't have anything to show for the over $2 million that he collected besides an abandoned building that is behind on property tax. That building is about to be seized by the government any day now. They don't care. Yeah, y'all, well, thank you for coming into the live. I just wanted to go on the record about this Sonetta situation because black women, not only in public situations like this, but even in their private life, black women squander a lot of time being confused. They squander a lot of feminine energy being confused. They squander a lot of money being confused because they want to believe the best in someone despite how they've consistently shown you that they are trash. They want to project their good heart and their good intentions onto someone who doesn't deserve it, someone who isn't earned it, somewhere where it's not coming from this person from the inside out. It's coming from you projecting it onto them, but it's not coming from them. It doesn't make sense to reason with someone that doesn't have a foundation to reason with. Would I want to talk to a friend if I feel like, hey, I want to influence her in this way or the other, or I want to present some information to her and for her consideration? Yeah, sure, I will. But for a bandit like this, no. Like a Sonetta, it doesn't make any sense because you must not know him. Now, he might be nice to you because bandits know how to turn it on and they know how to turn it off. Keep in mind, think about it. Why is this man being nice to me? What does he want from me? Always ask yourself that. I don't care if it's a celebrity. I don't care if it's an athlete. I don't care if it's a prominent person, if it's a wealthy man, if it's a struggle bandit, if it's whoever. Always ask yourself, why is this man being nice to me? Why is he sliding in my DM? Why is he hitting me up on IG? Why is he showing me some favoritism? My godmother always warned me against males showing women favoritism. Say, if a man ever shows you favoritism, beware. Don't let him call you queen, goddess, or none of that bullshit. Just tell him to call you sister. How do you treat your sisters? That's what I want to know. How do you treat your sisters? I don't need you worshiping and calling black woman as God and goddess and queen. And I don't need all that bravado. Treat me like a sister. Let me see what you're made of. She always warned me against favoritism. So if he's giving you, quote, special treatment and y'all have little nicknames for each other and you think you have his ear, always ask yourself, what does this man want from me? What is his end goal game? What is he trying to achieve? Why does him showing me special treatment? What is he trying to access? Because baby, you're not special. You're not special. It's nothing. You don't have some special God ordained connection with this bandit. You don't. He's a bandit, and a bandit. If he's being nice to you, it's because he wants something from you. You need to understand that. Accept that. That don't mean you're not amazing. That doesn't mean you're not beautiful. That doesn't mean you're not intelligent. That doesn't mean you're not graceful. That doesn't mean you're not amazing. You're all those things. But to the bandit, you are a resource to be used, baby girl. You are a resource to be used. So if a Sonetta is sliding in your DM, if a Sonetta is trying to call you and trying to manipulate you and get something from you, please know he wants something from you. Because the minute you don't tell him what he want to hear, you can kick the curb too, sister. You can go. You can get the boot. You can get the boot. He's loyal to money and fame and notoriety. Not to you, not to nobody else. Only to those two things. Don't ever get it twisted. That is what it is. So that energy that you're spending confused, trying to understand, Sonetta, relieve yourself from that confusion and understand what the game is. and direct that information, direct that energy towards something that's going to benefit you and your household, you and your own community, benefit you and your own audience, so that you don't even confuse your audience. There's so much other things that we could be doing as Black women. I came here today. I got to go, y'all. I'm about to go have a late, early dinner with my friends. I came here today to bring clarity. That was the purpose of this live, to bring clarity to the situation so that Black women don't have to be confused. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you. Oh, yeah. Remember, you are worthy. Peace.